Okay, we're live. Hey
Hi,
guys.
everybody.
Yeah, we've got Charlie here behind the scenes today. Yeah, they're
On on a friend's phone of a friend of an uncle of an aunt who knows a guy, and then his phone, which has been exchanged for three oranges and a lemon.
right.
That's how we're doing the show today.
Yes. Yeah, so Charlie's getting a little hopefully an internet even further upgrade, although it seems like they did pretty good last time. I don't know what they're fixing. But they're doing a little
Yeah,
bit of work
they,
there.
they just said, yeah, they just said service to the fiber
Mm,
optic system, and yeah,
yeah, so we're improvising here with joining via phone. So you'll just see me for the time being until we get some guests on, but we do have some lovely guests lined up for everybody. So excited about that. And Charlie, did you have anything in particular you wanted to go over before we start jumping into the guests?
yeah, I'll share one of the posts that I did on Media last night, and I think it's always good to keep everyone in the loop as to what Colleen and I are doing and how things are progressing. And as I've always shared with everyone with regard to the food, is that over time, the more that you give, the more that you give your body precisely what it requires. So you know that you're a frugivore and you need to be eating predominantly fruit and raw. When you do this, your body moves forward in leaps and bounds. And what it does is it will always tell you, because the distance between us is so very small, it's so close. The differences between us are still significant. The distance and the difference is because we're unique. And so while one person in the realm of fruits and vegetables may get along very, very well with this type of fruit or vegetable, maybe somebody else doesn't as much. Each one of us is made in our own unique way at the behest of God. So we're very unique and we're very special. And the more that you do this process by just giving in to what your body requires, which is being a frugivore, then your body powerfully tells you. And it does this after every single time that you consume food. And you'll just be so at ease and feeling so good with certain foods. So for myself, I get along extremely well with watermelon. I think everybody knows that. And I think everybody loves orange juice. I love orange juice, and Colleen really, really loves orange juice as well. And so throughout the day, essentially, what I do in the mornings to break my fast, which is later in the morning, usually somewhere between 10 till noon by the time I finished all of my chores, I'll break my fast with dried fruits and fresh and dried fruit. So it's a lovely mix. It's gentle. It's not hard on the system, and it's a nice way. I just add some coconut milk, and it's kind of like a breakfast cereal, except there's no cereal. and and my body knows that that's coming every single day. And that's another thing that I want to go over quickly again, is that remember, the more that you keep things the same, the better you will be, no matter what it is that you're consuming, because your body can prepare for it. It knows precisely, generally, when you're going to break your fast, and it knows what it is that you're going to be eating. And so it's ready, willing, and able to be able to process anything that requires processing. So that is a very, very key aspect as well. And then for Colleen, she breaks her fast with juice. Sometimes she'll have some of the fresh and dried fruits, but mostly it's just orange juice. And then throughout the day, both of us are solely consuming our juice, and then we have melons cut up, watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew cut up, and then we'll have some of those. But predominantly through the day, it's just juicing. And then I think most people know that for the longest time, for many, many years, Colleen and I have really enjoyed our salad for dinner. And we steamed a few vegetables, and then the rest is just sort of raw fruit, such as the tomatoes, cucumbers, and mango, and sometimes pineapple. And it's a lovely, lovely meal. And but we just felt the need for an even greater simplicity. And so what we've done recently, and this is what I want to share with everyone, and again, this doesn't mean that this is specifically this thing is precisely for you, because everyone is different. But what we did is we just switched from at dinner time from doing salad to just having avocados. And we both really love avocados very much. And more importantly, when we eat avocados, we feel and our bodies respond incredibly well. So I wanted to share that because this is this process of growth and development in a very, very simplistic way. So the further we move along, what you will find is that eventually you'll just eat less and less, and that what you eat will be less options. And so for us during the day now, again, we have fresh fruit and some dried fruit in the morning, and then during the day it's just drinking juice, orange juice or watermelon juice, and then either some fresh melon. And then at dinner time now, it's just avocado. And Colleen and I, we just love, because we have a lemon tree. And so we just take the lemons right off the tree and we just apply those directly to the avocados. And that's it. And once again, the key is how do you feel? What is your mouth like after you're finished eating? What do you feel like after you finish eating? And your body will always tell you these things, always, and it's always rapid, it's always fast. Right after you consume any significant amount of food, you'll get a response, and the response that I just knew, and I think Colleen did too. We just knew that it would be a wonderful change, and it has been. And so once again, this is not thinking for yourself. It's listening. It's listening to what's being told to you, and then trusting in God, knowing that everything works in your favor, and you have nothing to worry about, and trusting, radar, and trusting, and then these are the rewards that you get. So I wanted you to comment on that, and if anyone else wants to chime in, But again, just listen to what your body is telling you and follow your path. Clearly, they're frugivores, but how that looks is entirely up to each and every single one of us, because we're the unique creations of God.
Yeah, I'd agree. And just to sort of summarize what Charlie's been talking about, I know some people are having trouble hearing him. This is the best we can do today. So some people have suggested getting earphones to hear it a little better. I think that's a great suggestion, but we're going to keep going forward. This is what we got to work with. But as far as the what we're consuming and getting simpler, I think is such an important thing to consider, because as we as we simplify what we consume, we simplify the tasks that we're giving our body to process, and therefore giving it more ease. And as I've said before, we get to choose between ease or dis-ease, and that's the choice between alkalinity and electricity. Electricity is this dying circuit. It's constantly burning itself out, over consuming, eating all sorts of different things, lots of stimulations and things of that nature. Whereas simplicity, the alkalinity with the fruit, just gives our body that ease to be able to operate in its best capability at all times. And with that, it's also important to note, depending on what sort of diet you're coming from, you are going to need to have a significant amount of time to transition into that space where you can truly feel what it is that you're consuming. And this is, the detox period. So depending, if you're coming from a food heavy with eating animal products, it's going to take quite a bit of transition to work your way into this sort of simple mono fruit meals or similar. And so just something to note, that there is going to need to be some patience involved, and there might be some discomfort with things as you go through the detox, but it's all important to get to that space where we are in that simplicity. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts there with that one.
That's wonderful, Justin. That's money in the true treasure sense. That gnosis, and it is a transitional process. And the other thing that I'll just quickly share, and I'm not sure if you want to touch on it at all, but just so that everybody knows, over the past about 10 days, there have been 3 major reports of different major meat companies, because they're owned, these slaughterhouses are owned by just a few groups, very, very small. And just over the last 10 days, there's been 3 more just horrific findings. One has been shut down in one entire region. I think it's the Eastern Seaboard. They've shut down all of their operations until everything can be checked. I think their slaughterhouses in the southwest and west are still in operation. But what they've been doing to the animals, and there's video evidence by people who were working there who tolerated ton and got to a point where they couldn't tolerate anymore. Shared some video, and this is information just came out, like I say, within the last 10 days. And the things that were going on with regard to these animals is beyond. I won't discuss it. I saw it. It's just horrific. These things, they just really don't leave you. And for anyone who participates in this meat, dairy, and egg industry, this is what you're doing. You're doing this. Anyone who is eating meat, dairy, and eggs, you are a co-conspirator in all of these things. And if you think that is tough or unfair language, so you're lost. That's the truth. That's the truth. This crap, nonsense, sickness has to stop now. We have become the disease. We're not innately, we're the children of God, but we've disavowed God. We've been tricked into believing these little devils running around. And so we live a satanic life by these disgusting fake Jew Zionists that are behind everything, and they've got us doing everything the wrong way. And so we've become the disease.
Yep.
We're the virus. This so-called out there virus of what the cabal likes to push. We've become that. And that is a crying shame and a travesty, because we truly are the children of God, and we don't harm one another, and we are the shepherds of this earth, and we're here to guide, help, protect, love, care for all of God's creation. We don't kill it. We don't torture it. And the things that were happening in these slaughterhouses were torture. And the people who were doing it were enjoying what they were doing. And it's sickening. And so even if somebody thought, and believe me, it's not, this is the worst food, like Justin was talking to you about your choice between essentially magnetism or electricity, and you eat this shit, and you're an electrical circuit, and you're going to die, and you're going to die in pain and suffering, and that is justly served if you choose to continue to do this. But the things that have been going on are horrific, and if we continue to participate, then we are co-conspirators in this sickness. This is a sickness to do this to living beings. You don't eat death to have life. You don't condone torture, mutilation, rape to have health. That's just common sense. And it needs to stop. And every day moving forward that we continue to unleash this amount of sickness that is inside of us upon other creatures, there is such a thing as karma.
Mhm.
But karma only exists to people in the left brain. If you're in the right brain, it's called dharma. And dharma is magic. Karma is hell on earth. And karma is instant, as John Lennon taught us. Karma is instant. You are going to suffer. And I don't know how else to put it to you in more plain and honest terms. If you continue to condone what's going on to our precious animals, then you are going to suffer. And you should bask in the glory of your pain, because it is so well earned for the sickness and the disease that has spread through us and onto these animals. We need to love them. So when you know better, and we're not judging what you did yesterday, we're telling you now. And what you do from this moment hence will stand in judgment, because once you know better, you must do better. We have to stop harming animals, and we must start protecting them and loving them, and watch what they do for us in return.
Yep. Yeah, and
So
people.
sorry for that tirade, Justin, but it's important. So thank you.
Yeah, it's all good, and it's important to stress too, because people often ask me, how does, if karma exists, how does the cabal, how do these Canaanites get away with doing all this stuff and not experience their karmic repercussions? And the simple answer is because they work through deceit and they spread out their karmic repercussions to all of us. So by us participating, as Charlie said, in this satanic blood ritual of consuming flesh, we are taking on that karma to an extent. I mean, they will experience some of it to a degree, but they're able to disseminate and spread out that karma through all of us willing participants. Ignorance is not an excuse. It's really not an excuse, especially when there is so many ways to find out the truth. It's not an excuse to be willfully ignorant and still participate in events like this. And so we do incur the karmic repercussions, which, as Charlie mentions, is the suffering, is the pain and suffering, and it's justly deserved. And it's all benevolently given to us to steer us back onto the path of ease, so that we can step into our highest space and become more activated, which is as creative beings, so that we can add to this beautiful painting that we're all painting together, this creative experience that we're all having. And so anytime we step away from that, God's got brilliant mechanisms in place that kind of help steer us back onto that path. So it's all justly deserved, and it's all fair. But if we don't learn about it and truly live with it, then we are just going to suffer the consequences without even knowing. So yeah, well said, Charlie.
Thank you, and thank you. That was well said, Justin. So well said. And reminder to everyone: if you're getting, and believe me, this applies, it's universal. If you're getting some of your teachings, or if you're checking in every day to, for example, let's just continue to pick on Charlie Ward, the scab that doesn't go away. If you're continuing to listen to someone like Charlie Ward, who just preys upon everyone and everything, including dairy and eggs, including our animal kingdom, you think that there's any truth coming from? See, that's precisely how it works. It's precisely how it works. So many people are tuned in day after day after day to people who are eating meat, dairy, and eggs and think this is a great place for me to hang out because this person's going to have some good information, good gnosis, some good tips about what's going on. No, they won't. No, they won't. No, they won't or don't. These are liars, and they'll only tell you what they think you want to hear. And there's no truth that resides in them, because truth can't exist in such evil, carnal frames. And essentially that's all they become, is essentially two-dimensional frames in sort of a mechanical process. And all of the subtlety in the soul and the heart is gone from these beings. If you're looking out there to find some kind of help or assistance, remember, ultimately, what Colleen and I have taught you from the very beginning is that you must go within and find all of this yourself by making that connection to God within. And eventually you get to a point where you don't need us at all. You will have this direct line, the hotline to God, 1-800-9-11-11-9, hotline to God. And you'll do this. You'll do this yourself. But if you're going out there for your information and you're trying to get your information that's going to somehow help you from people who are participating in the rape, torture, mutilation, murder, and consumption of animals, there's just no truth. There's no truth. There's no truth. There's no truth. Their aims may be true, but they're always going to fall short because they're not pure inside. And it's as simple as that. And that's not being holier than others. It's pure common sense. It's pure common sense. A good man does not do or condone these things, and we all know better. The documentary Earthlings has been out for 30 years now, and there are hundreds of millions of people who have been confronted with Earthlings and won't go near it. So we'll wrap up with this opening portion with that, Justin. But again, it is important to talk about these things because they are. It's
Yeah. Well, if you don't mind, I'd love to, because I get quite a few questions about this, and we've touched on it in the past, but just kind of expanding on that particular comment, can we address the President Trump and like Don Jr. and his hunting and Trump and his steak houses and things of that nature? I know we've discussed how that's part of the role that he's playing, and that he still has to appeal to certain levels of the population who are still within that mindset. But I think it'd be good to expand on that and just distinguish, where do we draw the line with that, and where do we hope to see that progress in the future? So.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And remember, part of that could be coming purposely from them as well, because if you truly do care about others and about how this is all going to work moving forward in the future, then you're going to almost purposely say that these things occur, because what you're trying to show people that you're not perfect and that you're not meant to be exalted into a
Right.
saint.
Yes.
So are these things true? I would imagine that some of them probably are. Maybe all of them are. Is Donald Trump playing a role? Without a doubt. I mean, I've gone over shows with the coincidences with regard to his role in all of this, and his family's role in all of this, and the connection to the Kennedys, and therefore the connection to Henry Ford, and the connection to Hitler, and the connection to Abraham Lincoln. There's a plan that's been in place for a long time by goodly people, and along the way, have people fallen? Yes, we all have. I mean, in my life, I've rarely consumed any kind of meat, but I mean, for the longest time, our family lived on the ocean, and we consumed a lot of seafood. And to say that that's better, or somehow I was better by eating seafood than land animals, then that's just ego speaking. So I've been there as well, but it's just that when I knew better, I did better. And so when this transformation comes to anyone, or came to President Trump, it's a question of what he did once he knew. And so at this point, we don't know. But part of this, again, is that don't attempt to turn myself or President Trump or any of these people into your larger than life heroes. We are all in this together. So we are flesh and blood, and then we are soul. And I just choose to guide my flesh and blood through my Christ and soul. So I follow the teachings of Jesus Christ to the letter, and I trust in God 100%. And that's the best that I can do. And when I knew better, I did better. And that's the best that I can do. Not perfect at all. What I can promise you is that I won't fall, because once you get to the pinnacle, to the peak, once you exist upon this crown, you don't want to leave. Why would you leave? You're not going to do anything. God doesn't want you to leave. He's not going to do anything for you to leave. No one, nothing in his creation wants you to leave, so everyone is going to continue to help to ensure that you stay there. And then that's how it is. So that's what this is all about. And I'm sure that John F. Kennedy Jr. would and will tell us the same thing as well. Please don't exalt him to a position that he could not ever, ever live up to moving forward. He could never, ever be what our imaginations, have divined that he is, or what he has done. So we just need to remember that we have to become our own heroes. We have to become Christed figures. That's why Jesus Christ existed. This is why when you look at the true teaching of spirituality and religion, it comes from the night sky. And there's no denying that the story in the night sky is all about this sacred child of God and our sacred Mother Mary, and that is Jesus Christ. And that we can't be Jesus Christ, but we can be Christ-like. And that's what the entire Bible tells you and teaches, is to become Christ-like. That's what this is all about. And when you're Christ-like, you're virtuous and righteous and pure, and you're facing the east and not the blood-red west. Mm. You're facing the white, pure east. And these are allegories, of course, but they play out powerfully. And remember, if you're sick and tired of living an existence of karma, then cross the river and experience only Dharma. Dharma has no pain and suffering. It's only the abundance of God's rewards. That's what Dharma is. Karma only exists in the dime brain, the left brain circuit of carnality, of electricity, where you surely know pain and you will surely know suffering and death. So choose to do better. And when you do better and you cross that river, then you'll become the Christed figure. And let me just focus on that. President Trump, we don't know enough. We simply don't know. There's disinformation, as Hugh has told us again and again, is necessary. So we don't know. I would suspect that some of these things about President Trump are true, and that at the end of the day, what you need to do to process is to say, how do I feel moving forward with somebody that has been so right about so many things and perhaps wrong about some other powerful things? And then that'll be up for you. That's up to you to process and to deal with them inside. But in this flesh and blood form, we are not perfect unless we commit ourselves 100% to the Father who is perfect, and then we get the grace of the Mother. So I hope that helps, Justin, and you chime in as well.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think it's important to remember that this is all God's plan, and so whether or not Trump is consciously participating in these things to get us to, as Charlie said, to not idolize. We should not be idolizing anyone. We shouldn't be putting anyone up on a pedestal. So whether that's a conscious effort into getting us to be that way, or it's just an unconscious effort because this is all God's plan to get us into that space, to learn that lesson that we should not idolize anyone. So there are going to be people that are doing the right thing, but have some imperfections or things that are that they're working on, or things that we should not follow to that extent. And that's that self-empowerment to really step into who we are and our connection with God, our connection with the Father, and that is the only source of truth. And so we shouldn't be relying on anything else to get in between us and that source. So yeah, well said, Charlie. I think that's important, and it helps to sort of clarify that common question.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. And I'm not immune to it either. I mean, I think the world of Donald and Melania Trump. I think the world of John and Carolyn Kennedy. I think the world of President John Kennedy and Robert Kennedy. So much of my life has been, and it's easy for me to exalt them upon pedestals. But they're flesh and blood men, and we all have those moments. So this is why we bow to no man. We bow only to God, and then you'll never be disappointed. And along the way, as Justin just beautifully said, that there will be these interventions that come. King Cyrus in Babylon was not pure, but he was a good man, but he was not pure. Arjuna, whom Krishna spoke to, was a good man, but he was not purely righteous. And nor can we ever be until we choose to be Christ-like. And so it's a process. So there's no need for judgment. There is a need just to remember that our adorning comes through the Father and the Mother, and then we don't get ourselves into trouble.
Yep. Yeah, and I've told people, when we get to a point, when we get past, when we get to a certain point, like I'm going to be holding Trump's sons accountable for hunting and eating meat to that extent. If they continue to still choose to do that, right now we're at a point where I don't think that is priority to address. But as we move forward, we need to be standing in the truth, the full truth, and
that's right, Justin. So well said.
Yeah, and so we'll get to that space to where we can address that as well. But I think there are more pressing matters at the moment. So yeah, just wanted to say that real quickly. And then, did you have anything else to add before we jump into the guests?
No, that's perfect. And I just appreciate your and everyone else's tolerance for this extended introduction. But let's just say it was divinely guided. So
absolutely, it always is. All right, Barbara, we're gonna have you hop on first. Let's get Barbara in here. Hey, Barbara. Can you hear us?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, picture and audio sounds great. Picture looks great.
Do I have to do anything?
No, you're perfect. You just speak and you're there.
All right.
Yeah.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Charlie.
I wish we could see you. We'll see you on the replay of the show.
Okay.
I wish we could see you, but thank you for being here.
It's a little bit strange to talk to a number. It starts with 11.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Okay, I'm a little bit nervous. And Charlie, Justin, so nice to meet you. And the topic you just had, it makes me a little bit sad, and so, but I have to change the topic now, so I hope it's okay for you.
Sure, yeah, wherever.
Yeah, well, I have been listening to Charlie and Colleen for about a year now, and it changed my life a lot, I have to say, because ever since I'm little, I felt at the wrong place. I always thought I'm wrong, because I was born into a family with. I was growing up with my grandmother and my grandfather, and because my father didn't want me, so I never met him, and my mother had to go to work, so I was growing up with my grandparents, and I never felt right in the place where I was. So, because I always felt different, but now since about a year now, I mean, I started awakening a lot earlier than that, like 10 years ago or so. And since I'm listening to Charlie, I feel like I'm in a family now. I have now somebody who is alike, and people that are like-minded, and now I feel this magnetic, like Charlie always says, because I attract people easily, just like this, and they're like on the same page. It's like, I would say it's like, how can I say this? It's not only my body, it's what I spread outside. So I would go, like last week, I would go into a sauna, and there is one guy, he's like almost your age, and we started a conversation, and we were just on the right page. It's like, how of all these people, and this happens now more and more. But okay, now what I want to say is, what I want to ask is, it always you have to find your talent. But I think I have so many talents. I do healing, I do painting, I did astrology, I'm a coach, but eventually I work at the campsite, and it feels strange to, but I'm alone, and this is where I get my money from, and well, I do all the other things. I mean, I also can do the coaching at the campsite, because all the people are coming to me and asking, and they like to talk to me. So I think I'm still at the right place, and it feels good because I like my work, and the young girls around me, I'm like their mother, and they feel comfortable talking to me. Yeah. But I don't know how to get out of this matrix, how to get out of this, because I started selling pictures in 2019, and I was doing really good, but now everything changed, so I'm not even painting anymore. Oh, what happened? Am I still on? Justin? Okay. Charlie, can you still hear me, or?
Okay. Hey, Justin, are you there, Justin?
No, he's not. But okay, then my question to you, Charlie, is how would you tell me how I could get out of this matrix? I mean, I'm Cancer like you, and I like to be in a home. I have my apartment here, and I feel comfortable, but I like to travel because I'm Sagittarius at I don't know what you call this. But I need a place where I can call home. So
yeah, exactly, and home is always where your heart is, and if you keep your heart exalted, with the father and the mother, then you're always home, no matter where you go, because you're always grounded and you're always centered. Centered is the father, and grounded is the mother, and so in the beginning, like, it's, for Colleen and I, we did not have a ton of resources. By the time that we paid off any and all debts that we had, we didn't have we didn't have huge amounts of money, but we did the best with what we had, and then everything has worked itself out. Everything has by the graces of God has managed to work itself out, and of course now, because we've done so much work, that everything is going just so incredibly well. It truly is just so beautiful and a miracle. But where does anyone start? You have to have a place to lay your head. So I've always loved the notion, the idea of making your nature your home, or making a vehicle your home. So you can go virtually anywhere in the world and build yourself a lean-to and live in great abundance by doing so. Or of course, you can convert a van into a home. You can convert a camper into a wonderful abode as well. So there's all sorts of things. And remember, moving forward, as we move forward, this is what this has all been about. So much of this has been about to get people for a long period of time away from working at a job 9 to 5, or getting out of the satanic routines of sending our kids to school, going off to work, being focused on chasing this almighty dollar, and not spending any time or attention with our kids while they are being massively manipulated into becoming Satanists as well. It's just terrible. So that's a huge part of everything that's been going on, is to get you out forcibly away from this demonic system of you identify yourself as your job. And that's what your family is all about, is how much stuff you can buy for them based upon your earning potential. So a good father is a father who brings in lots of money. That's sick. That's disease. That's upside down. That's wrong. So we're going to be moving forward. There's going to be enormous amounts of money and opportunity made available to everyone to follow their heart, because God knows, and the Q team knows, that when people follow their heart, they're going to make the right decisions. And most people that we talk to, just like yourself, so many people, they all tell us the same thing. They just want to help others. They just want to help. And I truly believe strongly that if we allow this, and I know we will, and Colleen and I will do everything in our power to ensure that this is the way moving forward, that if we give everyone the ability to not have to worry about where their next paycheck is coming from, how they're going to pay for the roof over their head, or how they're going to pay for food, which is created by the father and the mother, if we take that ridiculous level of prison away from us, then we're going to be free. And once we're free, we're going to do better. And I think most people like yourself are going to just want to help. So in the meantime, I would suggest have patience. In the meantime, get away within yourself. Get away inside yourself. Get away, create a new home, a new reality inside your mind. Still yourself. Know that what is coming, trust. You can trust in Colleen and I when we tell you this, that everything that we shared with you is the truth, and that what's coming is an end to this sick cabal. Guaranteed, guaranteed, guaranteed. So when you fully trust that, and that you can trust us because this is God's plan, when you get to that point where you're trusting and you're knowing that I don't know when it's going to play out, but it's going to play out, and that when it plays out, we're going to be free the way that God intended us to be, then everything is just going to start to flow, and everything is just going to start to function. So in the meantime, start getting happy. Start doing the inner work, and start going on these vacations, start going on these journeys inside your mind via stillness and silence. create the world that you want to see moving forward now inside your mind. Show patience. Feed off of this joy, love, peace, and happiness that will grow inside of you. Feed off of that and prepare yourself for what is to come, because what is going to come is going to be bigger and better and more magical than anyone could possibly imagine. And then the likes of yourself, Barbara, are going to be free to share your wisdom, share your beauty, share your love, and bestow it upon all others. And when we create this new culture, the way that we always used to be, because we're mankind, when we create this brand new culture that once was, which is the kingdom of kind man, then everything will change upon a dime. Everything will turn on a dime, and everything will get better in a huge hurry. So in the meantime, just if you can get free, Colleen and I did it, that's always wonderful. And if that's not a great possibility right now, then do the inner work. Focus on doing the inner work, and focus on that core group around you. Colleen and I are part of that core group around you. Will always be here, and build on that family and grow your happiness inside of you. And then this eucatastrophe will occur, and the miracle will be bestowed, and it will come sooner than you think. And those are the days worth living for. That is the reality that you need to know is coming, and you need to put inside of your head and your heart now. Do the work now, Barbara. Create it, and he will come. Build it, and he will come. Build it, and this miracle will present itself. So I hope that helps, and I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, last week I was not on the show because you had a different show. So in this past week, so many things happened, and I was like, I'm going so much within. I know I cannot travel, I cannot go any place, I don't do this. And I don't have the desire to do it because I think I'm at the right place where I am right now. And I only work about 25 to 30 hours, and the rest, I'm with me. I'm just with me. I have no desire to meet people and go places. I go in the woods, I go up on the mountains, I swim in the lake, but I'm with me and with God. And that makes me happy. And I do, like you say, I imagine the new world, what I want, and how it's going to be, and I can feel it. But sometimes it's very exhausting, the waiting. But I know I'm too. I can't hardly wait. Yeah. Sorry, I'm
That's
so
beautiful.
emotional. Yeah. But I do my best, and I trust in God. And thank you that you all be here, and say hello to Colleen. And yeah, I always listen to you. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, sister. And if I could just chime in with that, so I think it's important to remember that we're all, especially in this time, but really at any times, we're all shown exactly what we need at any particular point. And the whole point of God's plan right here and now is to drive us to the precipice, to get us to that eucatastrophe that Charlie mentions, and to get us to truly trust and take that leap of faith. And so it's going to look different for each and every one of us, but we've got to be looking at each of these as opportunities to say, how committed am I to this path? How strong is my faith, and how much can I lean into it? Um, so it's just important to remember that as you kind of look for solutions and ways to sort of, I guess, bide your time until that great abundance comes out on the other side. And I think Charlie's suggestion of, looking at, being out in nature more often, or finding finding a way to make a vehicle, a home. I did it for a year, and it was one of the most magical experiences I've ever had. You know, it was such a beautiful time of self-discovery, and I'd recommend it to anyone. So that's always an easy option to get away from this debt-based, rent-based system to where we're spending all our money just to have a roof over our heads, which is insanity. And to get into it, the simplicity of it. So that would be my suggestion. And there's a great YouTube channel that I've recommended before called Cheap RV Living, and it's by a guy who's been living out of his vehicle for almost 20 years now, an older gentleman, but he goes around and he shows different builds that people have made that are just very simple. It doesn't require a lot of money. You can go with whatever vehicle you already have, whatever you've already got, and you can make it work. So I really like that approach because it's very practical and very easy to get involved. So that would be my kind of suggestion there as well. But yeah, thank you for, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. But Justin, I'm not at that point yet.
Okay.
I think maybe it's coming, but not yet. So,
Well, and
uh,
it's not something that, I was forced to go into either. It was completely by choice, but the liberating choice of getting away from the rents and not worrying about that. And then you're able to just have that breath of fresh air of like, I'm not sinking away so much money every month doing that. Just something to consider. But yeah.
yeah.
For
I have
sure.
a quick.
And just remember, Barbara, that and never lose sight of the fact that the true joy is in the knowing of what's coming, and the way that everything was created is that nothing can be owned, because the pure, simple, commonsensical reality of all of this is that if we didn't make it truly ourselves, then we can't own it. And the fact of the matter is, if we build anything upon this earth, then you can't own it because we didn't create this earth. And none of us have the first idea how God did any of this. And that's really not the point. It doesn't really matter. We're here to enjoy it. So this whole ownership thing just needs to go the way of the dodo. It's ego. It's just silliness. And it gets us into all these problems because then a few lucky ones or a few smart ones or a few, great businessmen are capable of owning 99% of everything, and the rest of us fight each other for the scraps that are left at the table. That's insanity. It's stupid. It's childish. It's egoic, and all of that needs to just die. The fact of the matter is that God and our Sacred Mother Mary created all of this, and they divinely rule over all of this in pure peace and pure love. And it's just for all of us to share. And like I said, I think it's one of the things that I've taught, and it's resonated with so many people because it's the truth. You go up in an airplane, and no matter where you are, and like I said, we sometimes we fly out of Mexico City, biggest city in the world. What's the first thing you notice? Not that big. What's the first thing you notice? It's dwarfed by all of the empty land surrounding it. Everywhere you go on this earth, empty land. Colleen saw, just briefly, a clip from some Eastern guru or yogi, and he was saying that this population thing is a real problem moving forward. There's too many people, and it's like, liar, just another capitalistic liar looking to steal your money. Pathetic. Nope, there's just nothing but free land. And guess what? Everywhere you go, there's free energy. Free land, free energy. Everywhere you go, Mama and Papa are making the best food. Making the best foods everywhere. Above the ground, abundance of water. Below the ground, abundance of water. On the ground, abundance of water. Everywhere you go, it's just beautiful, free, perfect, and there's more than enough to be shared by everyone. So as soon as we lose this silly little childish ego, everything gets better. So that's why I would just recommend, above everything else, just get happy now. You can trust, I guarantee you can trust Colleen and I. What's coming has already been done. It's a question of when it gets rolled out. It's already been done. What's coming, nothing can stop. And what's coming, you'll only be limited by yourself. So don't limit yourself. Live here. Live now. Connect with God. Experience the infinite. And dream and think big. And you can make it happen. And no one is going to stand in your way. No one is going to stand in your way. We're going to allow all of this to occur. And the bounty of your love and care and compassion for others, we're going to allow that to flow. And each of us individually in our own way will save the world. And together we're going to make this a very special place. That's worth being joyful, giddy, and happy right now. Like I said to everyone, this is not boasting in any manner, but Colleen and I don't have problems. We have people around us that have got lots of problems, and we love them, and we try to help them as best we can, but we can't be dragged into their problems, or all of the miracle that is our life from day to day will go away. So we just have to continue to do the work. We just have to continue to exist in this glory and abundance and joy and passion for God, passion of the Christ Jesus, passion of the Mother Mary. And you'll never grow tired of it. It never becomes dull and never runs out, because the miracles just keep coming. And so do the work, create it now, build it now, and He will come. I promise everyone, I guarantee it, build it and He will come.
Well, thank you, Charlie. Thank you so much. And I want to give the space to some other people. Okay. Love you. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Love you too, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Charlie.
Take care.
We love you.
Love you.
Thank you.
All right. Eduardo, we're going to get you on next.
Did you say Eduardo?
Eduardo.
Beautiful.
Eduardo, can you hear us? I think you're connected to audio. You just have to unmute. There you go. Hey, brother.
Yes, I can
Hey,
hear
sister.
you. Can you?
Yes. Beautiful. We can hear you and see you.
Well,
I can.
how are you guys?
Wonderful. Yeah. And if you, I don't know if you've been listening in, but Charlie's here just via the phone. So you won't be able to see him today, unfortunately. But
Yeah, no problem. It's an honor anyway. So I've been waiting for a year to finally connect.
beautiful.
Right, so, well, we will do a quick introduction, so who we are and why we're here. So we started listening to Charlie over a year ago. Absurd as it might seem, it was thanks to Charlie Ward that we got to know Charlie Frick. So not all the bad things are for for nothing. And after we start watching Charlie videos, we basically we shifted our entire paradigm, our entire life. So we went from having a normal diet to be now nearly almost fully fruitarian, frugivores. And we started this magical spiritual journey. And here we are, completely different from a year ago.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Well, at the beginning, she was very skeptical, and she told me, well, you shouldn't be listening to Charlie Frick because he's brainwashing you. I did, well, he's brainwashing me, telling me about God and Jesus, I don't know what the rest of the world has been doing for the 38 years of my life.
Right. It is
So,
it is a form of brainwashing. It's brain cleaning to get rid of all the poison and
oh,
toxins and
absolutely,
gunk.
absolutely. And never, I'm living proof of that, because since making all these changes in our life, I basically got rid of any kind of problem, physically, spiritually, financially, possibly, just following the teachings of Charlie and all the people that you have every week in your shows. So we are very thankful and grateful for this.
Beautiful.
And for my question, as I told you through the email, bringing to the table a topic that I believe has never been talked about, which is sexual identity. In the last few years, I have noticed that sexual identity has been brought up to the surface more and more and forced onto people, disguised as equality, and how do they say, inclusivity. And for personal experience, I never had a problem with the homosexual community. My father was one of them. I did discover about his sexuality after he passed away, when my mom told me about it, which made me realize why my family had years and years of trouble being a normal family. Because my father was one of those homosexuals that always tried to hide the reality to the world, and I got into the marriage with my mom, to fit. But obviously, it got caught at some point, and that basically ruined the relationship between them, and consequently, the entire life in the family got sideways. And for many years, I just have memories of fights over fights over fights over fights. But I also experienced the good side of it, because throughout my entire career in restaurants, hotels, and working with people, I met some of the most amazing people, some of the most loving, adorable people.
Looks like we just lost Charlie. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to call back in, but I'm happy to.
Okay, well, maybe you will be able to give me some insight. So my question is, we know that everything is being created by our Father Creator, and at some point has been flipped upside down. Is homosexuality something that has always been part of creation? So it's a naturally occurring phenomenon, or has been introduced in mankind at some point, and to create division more than already divided we are.
Yeah, so just in general, the sexuality, especially homosexuality and all of that has, it's a touching topic for a lot of people. It can be very triggering to discuss. But ultimately, God didn't create us to God didn't create us in that way. And you can see evidence of where homosexuality does develop more within people, and it's always surrounded by trauma, and it's always surrounded by cities. It's much more common within cities. So all of these sort of unnatural stimuli, and the cabal, the deep state, they know this, and so in order to sort of distort us away from the truth, because everything is designed to distort us away from the truth, to get us away from God and get us away from our true selves. Um, so they know that by implementing, not only the propaganda, which is very, very, very strong and forceful and always in your face, always trying to steer in that direction, but then they introduce the trauma and then create these artificial cities, which all of that sort of breeds this sort of delineation away from our true selves. Because ultimately, what the cabal wanted was androgynous slave population that they could feed off of. And so they don't want anyone to be reproducing on their own accord. They wanted to be controlling that and keeping that all under wraps. So it's difficult when we know and we love people that have fallen to this same sort of it's essentially mind control, but that's what it is. It's a steering away from our natural design. So but from our perspective, it's not to judge anyone. It's not to say, you're wrong for living that way. And
Hello.
Hey Charlie, welcome back.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, but Eugene just managed to get us connected back on the phone again.
Fantastic. Yeah, welcome back. So I'm just quickly going over Eduardo's question, which to summarize is, can we touch on homosexuality and the transgender and all of that? That's kind of, very prevalent in our modern day world. How much of that is natural? How much of that is programmed into us, and kind of where do we see that moving forward? So I was just clarifying that from my perspective, there's no, God didn't make us to be with that sort of any sort of sexual orientation away from our natural, what we were born into this realm as. And especially when we look at, the fact that we chose to incarnate in these forms. So there's no reason that we would choose to incarnate in a different form with a different orientation that doesn't fit with our natural biological body. So any deviation away from that is just something has inserted itself along the way to steer us off that path. And it takes a lot to sort of right the ship when we've been steered that far off of it. But that's the simple truth of the matter. And so, yeah, that's kind of my perspective. It's not, again, not to judge anyone who is on that path. As long as you're participating in ahimsa or causing no harm, then that's ultimately everything else is for you to decide as you will. But in order to pursue my highest form and my pursuit of the truth, I know that I am a man, and therefore I came into this world as a man, and that was by design. It was by choice as well. And I'm not going to say that God made some mistake in doing that, and there's something wrong that happened in there. So yeah, that's kind of a simple answer to that one. But I'll let you take it away, Charlie.
Well, that was brilliant, Justin, and that is absolutely the truth. Once again, it's everybody's journey, and it's up to the individual to go on this journey. But in the question of heterosexuality, homosexuality, transgenderism, the number one thing is common sense, and that's just been extracted. And so once again, we just come back to this small group of liars. We come back to these demonic souls that have created a system of Satanism. And Justin, when he was summing it up for me, just did such a wonderful job of saying, is this confusion over gender something that is a mistake from God? No, no, not at all. So then the only other option is that you've been hijacked. And so however you came into this time around the wheel is entirely free will. It's entirely your choice. And it's just that you're so miserable and lost and fearful in your life that you're looking for answers and you're looking for changes and you look for answers and changes in subtle ways. And so maybe the problem is the other sex. Maybe I'll have a better, and then these are just experiences. These are experiences for you to have. But when we examine this, again, common sense, allow common sense to rule the day. God created you perfectly. You are not a victim ever with God, only with the cabal. It doesn't work that way with God. So you were all in to come back again. You were all in to come back as a male or a female. And people who are confused are simply lost. And they're lost because we live in a sick, diseased world where everything that is black or that is white has been turned black, and everything that is right has become wrong, and everything that is up is now down. They've turned it all upside down, and the tables have been turned on us. And that's why it's very important, like Justin said, not to have judgment against somebody who is desperately seeking for solutions, answers, some love, some happiness in their life, and to have the courage to at least to try different avenues, different ways. But again, commonsensically, if you and God, between yourselves, deem that you would come back as a male, then the completion of this process is to unify with a female. And it is just purely common sense. And here's the other aspect, and I've been bringing this up more and more, and I really, really want to touch upon it again. I'm really, really grateful that this question was brought up by Eduardo. And because I think Eduardo noticed that it really hasn't been brought up before, and I'm really glad that it has. Because at the end of the day, what we're looking for in our lives more than anything else is friendship. It's just, once you're an adult, you are so tortured, really, with these temptations, and that everything has to be about sex. So therefore, these same-gender friendships have to become sexual because we are defined. Hey, roll out that Sigmund Freud corpse again out of the closet. Put another lacquer of wax on top of old Siggy, and let's bring out everything is sex, and let's run that ridiculous notion out there again. That's the problem. We've been taught that once you reach a certain age, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg wanted that to be 12, and she's in the Supreme Court, and let's have kids, sexually active and legal to make their own decisions at the age of sexual decisions at the age of 12. 9, I think Colleen saying it was 9 that she ultimately wanted it to be down to. I mean, that is just sick. That is just sick. It's lost. And so it's all of this massive sexual appetite that comes out of the carnality of the left brain. And again, these are all ejaculators, and it's all about ejaculation. And so if you're drawn to someone from your same gender, it's because you have a lot in common. And that's beautiful because you're supposed to become friends. And just move forward that way. And if you want to live together, that's beautiful as friends. It's the sexual aspect and the expression of the sexual aspect that gets us into trouble. And again, if you're a female with a female or a male with a male, you cannot, no matter how hard you try, you cannot replicate what comes when a man and a woman are divinely together. You can't recreate it. You cannot do that. So once again, if you want my take on it with sans judgment, it's just simply that this whole homosexuality and transgenderism thing is all about sex, 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 and all sex is a 5-letter word, S-E-X-X-X. It's a psyop, and it's designed to destroy this beautiful opportunity to have a beautiful same-sex friend, and then force it because it has to be. You're an adult. If you're together, if you're living together, you're not having. What's wrong with you two? What's wrong with you? You have to be having sex. I mean, there must be a law. There must be. If two men are living together as adults and they're not having sex, then there's probably a law coming that will force you to have to do it. That's how sick these people are. That's what's rooted out there. What we need in this world more than anything are friends. We need to be friendly. We need to be kind. We need to be populated with beautiful friends. And where does exploding your semen all over or in that friend, where does that come into play? It doesn't, except in the agenda of a small group of very sick, satanic people. And so Justin said it perfectly. Did God get this wrong? Did you get this wrong when you and God said, yeah, do you want to go back? Remember Harry Potter? What's that? I don't have to go back. Oh, no, Harry. You always have a choice. Oh, that's really nice, God. Well, yeah, I'm God. That's how this all works. It's free will, it's kindness, it's love. It's up to you. And so if you gain that you were to come back as a masculine gender, then there's a reason. And if you're off track, there's a reason. And you have to get back on the tracks with God and get off this hellish path with Satan. And that's it. That's it. Stop trying to hump everything that walks by you and start hugging and caring and helping that which walks by you or past you. Don't hump it, help it. There's a subtlety in the word there, isn't it? Help and hump. And they've got everyone just wanting to hump, and it's all about self, and it's all about an outward ejaculation, which is filling your essence and killing yourself. See? They're liars. They're liars. Stop listening to them. Use your common sense. It's all good. No judgment. Colleen and I have zero judgment for anyone who is in any of these relationships. We don't think, we strongly, I'll speak for myself, I strongly feel this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And when I say that, I mean having a sexual relationship with someone of the same sex. I absolutely do not. But I'm not going to stand in judgment of anyone who's doing that. I simply wish more than anything that the truth will be bestowed upon you and you'll see the light. And until that time, I'll do my best to share this truth and to love the best I can. And I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be spiteful. I'm not going to name call. I'm not going to judge, because I get it. I get it, what it's like to be lost. I get it, being lied to your entire life. I get having no real friends, having no real successful relationships. I get trying something different, looking for solutions and answers. I get it. I get that 100%. I don't want to judge you. I just want to help if I can. And so the commonsensical fashion is that you chose with God what you were going to be, and if you were going to come back again, you did, and someone has hijacked your ride. And having same-sex relationships is fantastic. Fantastic. Why do you have to hump it? Why is everything about humping instead of helping? Two little letters we can change, and it turns the world right side up. I hope that helps, Justin. And once again, Justin, what a wonderful summation that you gave in your thoughts on this. So
Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's shifting away from, and you see the sort of victim mentality pushed within the whole inclusivity movement and LGBTQ and all that, like they're always taught to be the victims. And that's sort of adopting a victim mentality and saying, I'm a victim to how I was born. Oh, God made a mistake, and now I have to live with that mistake and try and correct that mistake. And that's all victim, 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 instead of stepping into that place of ownership and empowerment and saying, I came into this world. I know that God didn't make a mistake. If something happened to distort me, then I need to recalibrate and figure out like what's going on. But it's like with anything, it's all a choice. Do we want to stay making the choices and be limited in where we're going? Like if I make the choice to continue eating meat, I can make that choice, but I'm going to experience the consequences of continuing to make those choices. I'm not going to be able to elevate myself to that next level if I'm still eating meat. And it's the same with being attracted to, if I'm having sexual relations with someone of the same sex. There's no way that I can complete that process as was designed. There's no way that I can complete the white tantric, the beautiful sexual process as it was intended if I'm limiting myself with those choices. So again, it's not to judge anyone else for the choices they make because we're all here to choose our path and how we get there. But it is the simple truth of the matter that if I decide to make those choices, I am going to be limited or expanded, and that's my choice to make.
Yeah. Well, we of course we got to the conclusion through common sense. We're just looking at our biology. But yeah, I brought this up because in the spiritual community, there are people professing that um, homosexual are a mistake, and that kind of triggered me. I was like, well, it can't be. It can't be a mistake of creation. There must be some other reason. So yeah, I was just it's a shame that in the spiritual community there are people that they said that homosexuality is just a mistake of creation. So
yeah, very, very well said, Eduardo. And again, remember, everyone, we're not here looking for ways in which we can divide and separate each other. We're looking for ways in which we can unite one another. We're looking not in the ways that we're different from one another. We're looking at the ways in which we are similar to one another. And it's about finding common ground. And when we find common ground, then we can build together. And to get her, you have to come together. And we do that on common ground. And that's the earth. And that is the wisdom of grounding ourselves to the mother. What's right and what's wrong, far be it from Charlie Freak to tell you what that may or may not be. Take your shoes off, put your feet firmly into the Mother Earth, and let her tell you. She'll tell you. You'll know. But people don't do that. How far have we fallen? People think that we are these speaking, thoughtful, physical creations, and that anything else is a pipe dream. And what we truly are is no thought, no voice, no speaking. We are pure intuition and telepathy. And we've completely lost all of that. And these people have just dragged us and dragged us and dragged us down. That's why the Bible uses so many allegories with the millstone. Each of us has been fitted on our born day with a giant millstone around our necks. And every year we keep falling back down the spine. And we're nowhere near Atlas. We're nowhere near the 33rd floor where we can get off into heaven upon earth. Because we got a millstone tied around us. And they do it with differences, and they do it with confusion, they do it with lies. And so let's stop judging one another in that regard, let's unify ourselves. But remember, that's kind of what the spiritual community says. Let's just all love each other. You can only do this in truth, not lies. And so when somebody says that, well, we all just need to get along, and you have your truth and I have my truth, and it's all good. No, that's hell on earth, and that's Satanism. That's how they get you. You come together on common ground, and the common ground is the truth of the mother through the wisdom of the father. So you don't do this by lying to one another. we come together, we solve all problems and issues through truth, not lies. So I just wanted to make that addendum. Truth must guide us, and it will always guide us the right way.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome, brother. Did you have any
You're welcome, my brother.
any little comments? We've got one other guest to come on, so I want to make sure we have time.
Well, what worries me is that if all truth will be revealed at some point, even the homosexual community will have to realize that being lied to, and that can be a problem for them. How am I supposed to help these people coping with such a big realization one day?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to. I mean, that's where we can show empathy, because all of this truth that's going to be revealed is going to be extremely difficult for different people for different reasons, and there are going to be many people that struggle quite a lot. And the only way that we can help, or the best way that we can help, is to continue shining as brightly as possible and to be those beacons of hope and truth and say, you know what, like, I know what it's like. I can understand what you're going through to a degree. You know, I know what it feels like to feel like, you know, I've been lied to about everything, and coming to that realization. But shining brightly, you're able to be that sort of life raft for people to reach out to and grab a hold of, and then you can guide them to the promised land and say, hey, there is another way, and there's going to be some rough waters to get there, because you've got to uncover and unlock and get past all the lies. But once you do, it gets better. And you're a living testament of that. So the best way that you can support them is to continue doing the work that you're doing, continue shining brightly, and just be there. You know, we can't force anything on anyone. We can't get anyone to be convinced of anything. And some people will struggle, and they'll need to go through those struggles on their own. But you'll be there for them when they're ready. And that's where that trust in God, that God is always going to lead the exact perfect people to us in the exact perfect time. And we don't have to take any thought to make that happen. We don't have to manipulate or control or do anything. We just have to continue doing the work and wake up every day and say, God, where do you lead me? Where do you guide these hands? Where do you guide this? What do you want this mouth to say? And just stay in that space, and you'll get there.
Wonderful. But yeah, it's going to be tough.
Again, brilliant, Justin. So beautifully said. And remember, for those people who have identified themselves as part of the gay or homosexual community, stop cutting yourself off or cordoning yourself off into all of these different sections and small subsets and groups. And no, you're only ever part of one group, which is the living group of man and woman, or mankind, and that's the only group you belong to. And when you begin to realize that the only problems that exist are mankind's problems, and that the only answers that exist are for mankind, then all this other fluff and distraction just falls away. It just falls away. You're not this, that, or the other thing. You're a living man or woman. That's it. And God of the ether and mother of the earth are your one true parents. It unites us. The truth always unites us. Everything, nothing I just said divides. It just unites. So get rid of this left brain carnal world. Stop listening. Turn off your TV. Turn off your radio. Turn off organized society. And you start creating your own radio stations through the frequencies inside of your mind. Allow things to be exclusively downloaded to you. And then, like Justin said, the right people, the right song, the right book, the right painting, the right philosopher, the right this, the right that will find you in that precise moment. And the beautiful thing about God is it'll never be a moment too late or a moment too soon. It'll divinely happen exactly. A wizard always arrives, Frodo, precisely when he needs to. Yeah, so become a wizard. Become a wizard. So stop these subsets. Stop seeing yourself as, I'm a white person. You're not a white. Like I said, this whole thing about color is ridiculous. It just relates to generation after generation of proximity to the sun. Where do white people exist? Well, they're way up north. There's not a lot of sunshine. Where do colored people live? Well, they're right up by the equator. And their eyes are a certain color, and their hair is a certain color, and their hair is a certain way, and it's because proximity to the sun. That's all. That's it. It's all the same. But we unite ourselves through the truth, not lies, not nothing. Nothing that Justin has said today says tolerate somebody else and accept their lies. No, then you're less than. Never be less than. Always be more. More is in the moment, is the truth with God in the moment. Don't give in to lies. But don't hate that person. Just simply say, I'm not budging an inch. I'm not budging an inch. I'm the most stubborn person in the world because I will only accept the truth. Doesn't mean I hate you. Doesn't mean I'm going to run away from you. But I'm not going to allow you to make you feel all warm and snugly inside living in your world of lies. That's not what this is about. And like Justin said, what's the best thing that any of us can do for anyone else? Be the lighthouse. That's all that Jesus talks about in the New Testament. That's all that God wants. Nothing else, nothing more. You don't have to become a disciple on top of a mount with olive trees, constantly barking out sermons every single day. You just have to be the light of the world. Be Christ's light. And those that are ready will see your light, and they'll go, I need to do that work. I need to do better. And they will. So the answers always come through truth, not lies. And that's it. And along the way, just, like what if Justin and I said all along about the likes of Charlie Ward. The moment that he wants to embrace the truth is the moment that Justin and I will, invite him back in. You can't make this personal and hate. What you hate is the truth. And we pray for the fallen. And we try to do our best and help the fallen by showing them the way. And that's just being Christ-like. And I don't know that I can say it any better than that. And I hope that helps for everyone listening. I really do.
Anything from you?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Appreciate you being here, and thank you for asking a difficult question. And I think it's an important topic to discuss, and one that's not often talked about. But that's what we're here. Like I said, there's no topic, no question, nothing off limits. So thank you for doing that and talking about what might be uncomfortable.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you
Thanks,
for
brother.
clarifying everything for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eduardo. And like Justin said, that's a difficult question for many, but a great question. And just know that it was divinely guided. So you did great.
Yeah, we know. We have faith.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I love you
Wonderful.
both. I love you
I love
both.
you
And
too. All
y'all
of you.
take care. All right.
All right, Justin. So we got one more guest for today. That's awesome.
Yeah, one more guest. So this is Lucilla. If she can, here she is. Hey, Lucilla, can you hear us?
Yes.
I can hear you barely. You're very quiet.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I don't,
Mm,
I think it's connected to your, so if you click on the little arrow next, you see the mute button? There's a little arrow
yes.
next to it.
Yes.
If you click on that, you can select which your microphone is. So you just want to make sure that your headset is selected.
Okay. Mm, headphones.
Do you see that option where it says select a microphone?
Yeah, it says microphone. So I
Is there another
there.
option?
No.
Okay. Um,
Hello, hello.
yeah, it's just very, very quiet. So you're gonna have to speak closer to the,
Hello, hello. There is better.
it's coming from your computer. Your computer is the microphone. So you'll just have to speak close to your computer.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, and that's better.
Yes.
Okay. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, just make sure you speak up and we should be able to hear you fine.
Okay. So I'm calling from South America. I'm in Uruguay,
Beautiful. Thanks
and
for being here.
yeah, it's kind of funny. Uh, so I'm so happy that I have you guys talking about all these beautiful truths that I resonate very much, and it's kind of like very good for my soul and my being to be able to listen all this. I like very much to listen to you all. Everything is just truth for me. It's just resonate with all the cells of my body. I didn't even need to check nothing. You know? And then from there I move forward. So I am super happy and
Beautiful.
enjoy
We're happy
very
you're
much.
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, my question is about last show that Colleen and Charlie and you talk about sacred sex, and he was talking about these 3 days and 3 nights in the, that you should do when your sun sign is in the moon. I didn't get very much if it's the same days for all the people or if I need to find como my days to do. I didn't get that that practice how it's
Yeah,
how
so just real quickly, the question is, what are the 3 days that, you know, when Charlie talks about the chrism oil rising, these are the 3 days where it's most likely to occur. And in the last episode, we talked about sacred sex and how it should be practiced on these 3 days and done with a lot of intention to kind of like maximize the effects of these 3 days. But the 3 days mentioned are referring to when your sun or when the moon is in your sun sign. So there are calendars you can find to find when the moon is in your sun sign. So you'd get your sun sign, which is the astrological sign that most people know. Um, so and then you track the moon, and whenever the moon is within your sun sign, those are the 3 days that this process occurs within our moods. And I'm sure, Charlie, I don't know if you want to expand on that at all, but that's kind of the simple answer to that one.
Yeah, beautifully said, Justin. And remember, everyone who's listening, you know, a really good site to go to for a whole host of reasons is called moontracks.com. It's all one word, no capitals, all small, just Moontracks, MOONTRACKS, moontracks.com. And then they have infinite amounts of variables that are there. But if you're just looking for your 3 days, once you get to the main page, it'll ask you to enter in your sun sign. And then, as Justin said, it'll calculate out when the moon enters into your sun sign, into your constellation. And then all you do is you click on Power Day. And it is a great little chart because it shows you, and it very, very, very accurately shows you, and it's not guaranteed that you're going to have a great day or a bad day. It doesn't work like that. It just means when things are in alignment for you and when things are not so in alignment. So it's really great throughout the entire month in question. It'll show you days where things are easily lining up for you, and you should find things easier to come to reconciliation in your life. And maybe days where it's more difficult. Doesn't mean you're going to have a bad day at all. Doesn't guarantee you're going to have a good day. Just makes things more naturally aligned and easier, or perhaps a little bit more challenging. But that's all you require is focus to overcome those things. So Moontracks, and you click on Power Days, and in the Power Days, it'll show you 3 suns, and on those 3 suns, those are your 3 days, and that's the 3 days. That's the 24 plus 24 plus 24 is 72. That's the 3 days and 2 nights, and that's when Christ is self-sacrificing and releases the essence of himself within all of us again from the age of 12 onwards, 13 times a year for the rest of your existence. And all you have to do is allow. You don't really have to do much of anything. Just get out of your own way. Stop poisoning yourself. So you can't just be good for 3 days and expect this to work. It doesn't work like that at all. It's a lifestyle change, and you become committed to becoming Christ-like. If you want Christ to rise within you, become Christ-like. And why wouldn't you want to be? Okay? Remember this crucifying, this nailing to a cross. While that can happen in different physical manifestations of it, ultimately what the allegory is this crossing at the ending of the spine, the beginning of the brainstem. And the brainstem fills the opening at the top of Atlas. So Atlas holds the weight of the world. The weight of the world is our mind because we continuously take thought in our left brain. So the brainstem blocks this natural process straight up. And so you now have a choice. You either get stuck there forever or you cast thy net to the right. And it's the only way because the pneumogastric nerve or the vagus nerve, the vagabond nerve, only goes up and to the right in our human physiology. And that's where this allegory of casting thy net to the right comes from. You have to go up and to the right virtuously. And like we're saying, you cannot be ejaculating out your semen because that's the nuclear force, that's the supercharged, that's the 1,000-fold that is going to get your Christ consciousness out of the physical part of you and into heaven upon earth. And when it does, it goes directly to the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is the tomb at the very bottom of the third ventricle of the brain. And there, Jesus is laid to rest within you for 3 days. And in this case, for 2.5 days. It takes half a day to do the rising, and then Jesus is laid to rest inside the tomb of the hypothalamus at the base of the third ventricle of the brain for 2.5 days. And if you are righteous, that's all. If you are alkaline, if you're not poisoned, then Christ will do the rest for you, and he will rise up into the pineal gland. He'll activate the spiritus genialis, that will send an electrical charge to the fornix. The fornix will roll back. That is the gate that's been blocking this last chamber of the third ventricle, called the chamber of the bridegroom. This is the B ride, the mother, to the G room. B ride, bride, to the G room, groom, bride and groom, bride, mother, groom, father. B ride to the G room. And all you have to do, you don't have to do anything. You just have to get out of your way. Stop poisoning yourself with toxic thoughts. Stop poisoning yourself with toxic food. You have to be alkaline. You're a frugivore. So that's why Jessica and Colleen always teach, start with your food. Breathing is alkalinity. The Buddha breathing. So it's so simple. And that's this magical process that occurs. And Justin again nailed it so beautifully. It is in and around when the moon comes into your sun sign. But remember, all those 3 days are showing you is that those are the 3 days in which Jesus is laid to rest within you. To be respectful of that. This is a solemn, sacred process. It is not partying, yelling. This is deep meditation. That's what is most important for these 3 days, is stillness and silence. That's this mastering of the 72, the mastering of the going within for 3 days and 2 nights. So I'll pass that back over to both of you. But again, another great question.
Yeah, great question. Did you have any comments or follow up on that?
Oh, just thank you very much. Thank you very much for these words. Perfect. It was really what I need. I was a bit didn't understand very much. I still like Colleen says, I'm in the journey, and it's really a journey, because I resonate also when she says that she's taking all the things that she knows, like letting go all what she knows, and making place for all these new inner standings that they feel so accurate for me. They feel so that it just makes me happy all the time. All these new insights that you guys share. So thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing it. Thank you. I mean, we're all just reflections of where we are. So the only way that you could have found us and be a part of it is if you've done a significant amount of work to get to this space. So thank you for doing the work and making this possible. Thanks for being here.
I love you all.
I love you too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we love you so much. Colleen, love you so much. And again, thank you to all 3 of our guests today for having the courage to ask such difficult questions. Right back to Barbara in the beginning. You know, how do I break off from this sick organized society, and how do I start doing? And what we're saying for right now, what's most important is break off within yourself, or within yourself. Stop buying into this out there world and start living through the miracle, the magic of the inner world. Because again, God is within you. You talk about what is the biggest of all the lies, and there's so many, and it's kind of futile, I guess, at the end of the day, to even attempt to rank them, because all these sacred truths have been lied about, and so it's all terrible. But probably the biggest lie of them all is that God is some, angry white dude on a far distant planet that lives in anger and judgment over you, and he's out there somewhere. No, God is within you. He's within each and every one of us. He exists within each and every one of us. Mother Mary is within us. She is the damsel in distress. She is trapped down in your root Muladhara chakra. It is your job at some point during these millions of times around the wheel you go, at some point someone has to step up and be Super Mario and rescue the Mother Mary, Princess Peach, in the basement. You have to overthrow the mayor of Washington, D.C., Bowser the dragon, and Mario Brothers, and you release her. And where do we take her? We take her to the highest chamber in the castle, right? Isn't that how all these stories go? What's the highest chamber in our castle? The chamber of the bridegroom, the B ride to the G room. Everything is happening inside of you. Nothing of great significance is happening out there unless you approach it from within you. Then the out there becomes part of your inner world, part of the beauty and the untaintedness of that out there carnal world. Everything is within you. God is within you. Mother Mary is within you. Jesus Christ is within you. Santa Claus is within you. They are all your family. They are all your friends. They are all there to help you. All you have to do is get out of their way and let them do the bulk of the work for you. Align yourself. That's why it's all about energy and frequency. Align yourself to the divine frequency of the 9, 144,432 hertz. 9. It's all about the 9. Get divine. And if you look at the 9th letter of the alphabet, it is an I. It is a single I. And I just posted on our YouTube channel yesterday. I'll host more of these incredible songs. And I just did a new song from the Alan Parsons Project. Everyone, go watch it. Alan Parsons Project, Silence and I. Silence is good. Silence is God. Silence is God. So what is Eric Wolfson saying in Silence and I? Silence is God and I. And I, the single I, which means that the inner you, which means the third ventricle of your brain, which means your soul, your essence, the pineal gland activating. Silence and I. That's how you connect to God, is by going within, by activating the pineal gland. Silence and I. You are the single I. You are not just this physical, bumbling, stumbling, flesh and bone monstrosity that just gets everything wrong. You are divinely right in every moment, and that is within you, and it all flows through the single I. Get to know silence by being the I, which is the single I. And I love you. Colleen loves you. And again, just 3 fantastic guests and 3 incredible questions, and just an incredible show, just filled with powerful gnosis.
It's really.
So, yeah.
Love you so much, Lucila. Thank you for being here.
Ciao.
Bye.
Gracias.
Gracias. Adios.
Adiós.
Beautiful. But yeah, this was a absolutely fantastic show, Charlie, and I'm glad we were able to make it work with the phone. I still felt your presence very strongly here. Thank you all for your patience with a little bit difference in today's show. Appreciate you, and yeah, wow, I'm just always blown away. And to have, like you said, to have such boldness and asking these difficult questions, it's always very encouraging to see how strong everyone in this community is, and to see these faces, and yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah, and Justin, it's divinely inspired, because as we continue to move along, every single day now, every single week matters. Every single day now, moving forward matters. We are really getting close. And these are very powerful days. So let us just say that the 3 guests today, and interesting that they all had accents, which is beautiful, and really, again, divinely inspired. That all of this, just know, everyone who's listening, know that you were part of something much, much, much bigger than just yourself. This was very divinely inspired today. And we didn't think it was going to work. Justin worked hard to make it work. Eugene worked hard. Colleen worked hard behind the scenes to make this work. It's always a team effort. It's always a wonderful team effort. And to that end, just really quickly, I want to thank Tony Wheel again. Tony, for all of her work getting the website getting closer and closer to completion. And what Tony and Colleen themselves have worked really hard to create is just getting one aspect of the website complete, and that is the sort of the store in which all of these T-shirts that Colleen is creating, and she's working really hard. And my goodness, the shirts that she's been bringing to me sort of each night are just fantastic. And I just want to draw attention to that simply because at this point, this is a significant way in which we were able to compensate Tony for the massive amount of time and effort that she's put into this, and to help cover all of the expenditures, because they've been significant with regard to all of this. So yeah, and of course, for right now, it's just looking to remunerate Tony for all of her, fantastic efforts and hard work. And in the future, the proceeds will go to the animals as well. So if you have the time, just take a look. Justin can put it in his show notes, because I put it on MeWe virtually every day, and it's just that link to WordPress where it shows all the different shirts and options that you have, and there's just some great stuff in there. So huge thanks to Tony, huge thanks to Colleen, a huge thanks to Justin, huge thanks to all of our guests today, huge thanks to Mother, Father, Child, to Jesus Christ. We love all of you so much. It's special. It's special. Bask in the glory of being alive during these days. These are not dark days. These are beautiful, beautiful, bright days. It's just all in how you see it. And moving forward, what we've shared with you is true. It's coming. It's actually really already here. And we just have to align our frequencies to it. And what's coming is going to be bigger and better than any of us could possibly imagine. This is a reality where you're free to express yourself in the way that you truly are without harming anybody else. I mean, so you will be able to be free. And I'll bet you anything that most of us will choose to express ourselves by helping others.
Yep.
And that gives me nothing but hope.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just to echo that, that's what's so wonderful being a part of this is we get to give hope and continue sharing that hope and standing strong within this bit. But as Charlie mentioned, we are going, it is going to be difficult, as the days go on, as the weeks go on, there's going to be some difficult moments. We're all going to be tried in some way or another. And so that's why it's important that we keep coming back to each other here in this community, and also just standing strong with our Father above, and knowing that through putting that armor of God on, nothing can harm us, and we have nothing to fear. So just continue standing in that is beautiful. So yeah, thank you, Charlie. Thank you for everyone on here. And yeah, until next time, we'll talk to you then.
Great job. Love you, everyone. Thank you.